Well, this thing never seems to work. I have a nice little open there, but you know what? Everybody just wants to cut to the chase anyway. Dave Stevens here from a very empty Radio Row. Chris Long is joining me, a two-time Super Bowl champion. Doesn't need a lot of introductions because he's done so much off the field. It really has grown his brand, his name. So he's stopping by for a few minutes from his studio, and we're just going to talk a little football. So, Chris, hey, man, thanks for joining me. How's life? You look like you've dumped a lot of weight.
It falls off fast, like my whole life I had to work to make weight and stay, in college, I was 280 pounds at one point. So I'm about 250 now. I feel great, dude. And you look great, Dave.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, man. And, it's what else did we have to do during this last year? Except, it's not like we could answer me a question. We weren't sitting around drinking beer together, but are you a Coors Light? Bud Light, what's and you've got a new beer for Waterboy, so we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, no, honestly, since the pandemic, my drinking's been down a little bit, which has been a good thing. I feel great. But if I am drinking beer, which I do love, if I'm looking at a domestic, kind of like the heavyweights of the domestic beer world, I'd go Miller and Coors are my two favorite.
There you go, Sam. Miller is Chris's favorite. We're going with Miller. So we that ends up. Okay, thank you for joining us today, Chris Long. Get out of here. So, that's all we care about. No, we talked about bringing you in because you've been to this game. You've been a big part of what this has been. You've gotten to share it with your family and your dad, Howie, and you made your name for yourself. You didn't ride your dad's coattails. You didn't do this, but to be able to share those moments with that family still is what I take away was probably the biggest moment for you on that stage.
Yeah, it was. When that confetti's falling down, that's what you wait for your whole life. I was on a bad team for a long time, and we had a really good defensive line. And in that defensive line room, our coach, Mike Waffle, who had coached in Super Bowls and had 1-1 with the Giants. And he told us, my greatest wish for you guys is to feel that confetti. And, so that was always in the back of my head. I was always trying to get there and just have that green and white, or that in the Patriots case, it was red and blue confetti fall down on you. And at that point in my career where I was daydreaming about that, I didn't have kids, and late in my career, my wife and I, Meg, decided to have our first kid, Waylon, who's now 4.5. He got to see both those Super Bowls, and that was so important to me, for everything your family sacrifices. Whether it's my wife, Meg, or my mom, when she used to take red eyes to St. Louis to catch that game after going to Oregon to watch my brother's game on a Saturday night, not even sleep. We'd get home from the game and I would be exhausted from, usually losing in St. Louis, but my mom would be exhausted too, because she hadn't been to sleep in 36 hours because she's just a great mom. So, all those moments, your life flashes before your eyes, and in your life, those are the stars. So to have them there on the field with you meant everything to me.
And you've kind of become a star in your own right. You've got the Green Light podcast. We've been together over the years from some big games, some big losses and things like that. But to me, the most important thing that you do now is the Waterboys, waterboys.org. And, I don't know what COVID did to you worldwide, setting you back, but it's the initiative that Chris Long and a lot of other NFL players, Nate Boyer, get involved to create wells in Africa so they can get water where they don't have it. And it's really changed a lot of lives. I think you were up to 80 some when we last talked. So tell us what the setbacks was, what the future is, and what can we do to help Waterboys?
Well, started Waterboys, and I appreciate that, Dave. And just as an aside, I always say this: it was always a pleasure seeing you in the locker room, man. It was there's a lot of great media people in our league, and you're one of the best. So I appreciate you. And just to plug that, I mean, when I starting out a foundation about 6 years into my career, because the first 6 years of my career, I tried to do things kind of undercover because I didn't want to be the guy that was getting people would interpret you're doing things for the publicity or something like that. But what I neglected was fans, I neglected all the good fans can do. And so that was the point of starting a foundation. Starting a foundation is really asking for help, and so when I started mine and started it with a clean water initiative, that was outside the box for a lot of fans in the Midwest and around the country. So I'm really appreciative that it's grown, man. And you mentioned those metrics that we've hit. You know, we're at 100 wells now. We've got 500,000 people we've provided clean water for, and we're gonna head to 1 million as soon as we can. And you know, this is a tough year to raise money, but we've still had donors step up. And so, like, I'm just really appreciative that when it comes to water boys, clean water is not something we have to think about in the United States. Ideally, now we have all types of situations that prove how thin that line is between living the luxurious life we live and you know, the life of some of our neighbors who are not so fortunate. Because when we have a water issue like a Flint or a shortage issue, or you know, like right now on Navajo Nation, a ton of people don't have water and it's COVID. They don't even have running water in their houses. So how do you stay clean to fend off a pandemic? You know, how do you stay hydrated to stay healthy? How do you live with dignity without clean water? So it's not just an East African problem or a problem around the world. It's also here. It's just we keep it together for the most part. But when that luxury goes away, we really feel it. So we do work in East Africa. We do work here domestically. We do Conquer and Kili, where we climb Kilimanjaro every year with veterans. You know, many of them, Dave, we talked about this, amputees, from Kirstie Ennis to a number of other amazing athletes who served our country, who are wanting to tackle the next thing and help somebody along the way. So Water Boys has been a joy. And, you know, from Conquer and Kili to a banquet we do here domestically, I'm just appreciative of any help people give.
Well, I want to bring up, you were talking, we mentioned the beer earlier, but there's also something you've been brewing, and I guess I was just able to find it a few seconds ago, so how cool am I? But
yeah, dude.
There it is, Water Boys. It looks like it's an India Pale Ale. So
yep.
How did you invent it? How can people get it? And what is it going to do to help the Water Boys?
Well, so if you check it out, go to Champion Brew. You Google it, because I don't know the URL off the top of my head, but it's a local brewery here called Champion. It's a buddy of mine, Hunter, who came to me and was like, "Listen, we'd love to give back to Water Boys, and what kind of beer do you like? Like, you know, we'll kind of ask you, for a little bit of input." But they're the experts, and so I just said, "Listen, why don't you roll out a Water Boys IPA, man? Like, I trust your instincts. I tasted a couple of the samples, and Hunter and those guys crushed it. I mean, it's a delicious beer. You have about 2-3 of those, you'll be on the couch, like most IPAs. So, I just love the fact that people like, somebody like a Hunter or somebody who owns a business, we've had a ton of people get involved in creative ways, and I love that.
And I just had Drew Bledsoe on. He's got the wine that they do dirty for. So it's just so good. You guys don't get the credit. It's always like us media folks are always looking for the nasty things. You cheated on your wife. You got a DUI.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the good things that you guys do that really helps, the philanthropy. Because, again, all they want to talk about is, oh, Chris, you didn't sack the quarterback, or you guys failed in the championship.
Right.
Or, why are you walking away from the game? You're letting them down, those kind of things. But, to do what you do and still doing it and have that marketability after, it's great. So I really hope this beer works out.
I appreciate it, man. It's just nice to feel that support from businesses. And that's a local business here in Charlottesville. And like St. Louis helped me a lot when we started out with that thing. And a small community like Charlottesville has gone a long way for us as well. So shout out to them.
All right, as we wrap up, again, I've got two-time Super Bowl champion Chris Long joining me. And again, thank you, everybody, for your support for the Disability Channel, the Boomer Connection, Ali Plus TV, and, of course, my new initiative with Quinnipiac, with Ability Media, where we get to teach kids and really make a difference. So thank everybody for your support. Chris, you're closer to the age of Tom Brady, so I don't know if you were teammates and you're rooting for him, and it's nicer to be that old guy, and we have him in common. But Mahomes obviously is such a great young quarterback. It's an amazing battle. The league couldn't have fixed it to get a better matchup for a year like this that we've gone through. So, is your heart with Tom Brady and your gut and realistically with KC, or what are your thoughts about this matchup?
Interesting matchup. And to your point, the league, kind of hit a home run here with these two teams, because you have the young superstar that seems unbeatable, like that kind of thing that Brady was at one point, or the Patriots were at one point. That's what Kansas City's knocking on the door to do. And if they want to be a dynasty, this is a huge, like, teams don't repeat. You think about it. How many teams in the NFL repeat? And if they can find a way to win this game, people are gonna get real tired of the Chiefs now. You know what I mean, Dave?
Yeah.
But on the other end of it, you got Tom Brady, who's 43 years old, gunning for number 7 out of 10. It's remarkable. And I think one of the biggest cat and mouse games in this game is going to be these two quarterbacks against the coordinators on the other side. You know, how much man are you going to play against Kansas City? You know, you only played man 9 snaps the first time, week 12, but they still just toasted you. Can you stop blitzing so much? I know Todd Bowles loves to bring pressure. Can you get pressure with 4? You should be able to. There's 2 tackles down. You know, like, that might be your best chance to win. Can Tampa get a lot out of those backs in the receiving game? You know, they're going to have to live underneath sometimes. I think it's going to be a great game, man. And I actually lean the Bucks a little bit, dude.
Yeah, you want Tom Brady. I mean, it would be a great story, a little, kind of a slap in the face of the Patriots, but he is the GOAT, and you got to play with him. And I'm just wondering what's his mindset going into this. You were in that locker room, you saw that. So going into this, he has that edge that there's never been a quarterback that's ever had.
Yeah, it's. I was just telling somebody this. It's one of those things with Tom. He's one of the most down to earth superstars I've ever been around in person. But at the same time, I don't think anybody truly knows what's in Tom's head. Like I think I would pay a lot of money to be a fly on the wall the week of his 10th Super Bowl and think what he's thinking and, like, what are those emotions. I think he goes to some dark places. I don't know where that comes from, but I think he's got this real, like, almost alter ego inside himself. And I think this is one of those weeks that you're going to see it. And he might look relaxed. He's got those movie star looks and, perfect life. But I think when his head hits the pillow at night, Super Bowl week, it's a mixture of, if I had to guess, the hay is in the barn. I've worked harder than anybody. I know the game. I know the situations. But there's like a tornado in my brain. Like, this is just – that's what it's like to be on this big stage, and I can only imagine to be on it as a quarterback, one of the greatest of all time, with all that scrutiny. It's a crazy week.
There's got to be a different mindset when you talk about a LeBron James, a Tom Brady, a Michael Jordan, a Willie Mays. There's something that kicks it up into that extra gear, and I think we've just been lucky to be along for the ride. It got you one of your first 2 Super Bowl rings, and you were able to go back to back almost, literally to be able to have that success. But I wonder, what's the biggest aspect of the game that you miss?
Big moments. The gotta have it situations that I thrived in St. Louis for a long time. Like, when you needed a rush, we needed a play, we needed pressure or something. I always prided myself on, like, I'm not tired in the fourth quarter. I've worn this tackle down. And that's the thing you love, like exerting your will on somebody, on another grown man. That and just wearing him down. When I got to New England, I was older, and Philly, I was older. But I think one of the things I wish I could have been in those big moments most of my career, like in my prime, where everybody's watching. When we were in St. Louis, those big moments were big to me, but they weren't big to everybody else. There weren't a lot of people watching the game. And when I went to New England and Philly, you could just feel the energy around every game you played. And so I got to know those big moments, like on a big stage, but only briefly. And I do miss that. When I walked away because, I didn't want to start over on a new team, and what they had lined up for me in Philly, I didn't think was representative of what I'd done for that team. So, you know, when I walked away, I knew that for the first couple of years I was going to feel pretty freaking good physically. And so it can be hard some days watching and being like, I know I can do that. But I love my life in retirement, man. I mean, it is just, I get to be around my family nonstop. So for every moment there's a big play and the crowd's on their feet in a playoff situation and I'm jealous as a rusher, there's 100 moments where I'm so thankful I'm not a football player anymore.
Well, it's been great to know you and get to know your career, your post-career, and thank you for having, the time for us. I wondered what is your advice for everybody that's been through everything they've been through this past year? I know, you've had to not see your friends, your teammates, you're not here at the Super Bowl, but, what's the advice for people when they don't have that hope, they don't have that thing to look forward to? Because you've overcome a lot of things. We don't talk about that stuff, but, you've had your battles, and I want to know what your philosophy is.
I think everybody, and listen, I'll start this by saying I'm fortunate, okay? Like, when it came to, hey, we're going to lock down here last March and I'm not going to go anywhere really. Like, we went on vacation to Montana, but there's nobody really out there. Like, we stayed on the lake for a while last summer with the kids. But otherwise, like, I've kind of been home. And I think what's helped me is like this stuff. We're really lucky that we can our livelihood is based on having conversations. So I love like turning on Zoom and having a different person on my podcast. We do 3-4 shows a week and it's a grind, but I'm so thankful that I turn on the microphone. On the other end, there's somebody like you. There's somebody I'm interested to talk to. And so
you haven't called my agent yet. I still haven't done your show.
I got to get you on, man. This off season, we got to chop it up. But like, I think that's one of the coolest things and one of the saving graces for me during this period of like isolation is, number one, I'm lucky. My family is safe and healthy. Number two, I have the means to stay put. I cannot imagine a strain on some people's livelihoods and whatnot. But I would just say, like, call a friend, like spend some time on the phone. Like, don't isolate yourself. I mean, it can be really easy to isolate yourself in a situation like that. And I need to talk to my buddies. I need to talk to my teammates. The biggest thing, you talk about missing something, your teammates. Like I had 100 ready-made friends every day I walked into work, and it was such a tight bond. And then you become kind of isolated. I think that's why some guys struggle in retirement. I've tried to be intentional about staying in touch, and especially in like a pandemic, man, like where everybody's kind of off to themselves, like just maintain those relationships. That's all I could, any other advice I could give would sound like I knew what I was talking about. I'm so lucky, it'd be hard for me to tell somebody how to live their life, right. But the social part of it, checking in on people, write a note, like on a Friday, I want to check on 5 of my friends. And you might do that to check on 5 of your friends, but you might actually get something out of it and feel better.
Well, I'll be talking to our buddy Nate Boyer tomorrow, so he said
check on him. He's doing jean ads now. He's doing jeans. He's a jeans model. We don't need to check on him. He's fine. He's doing jeans modeling.
He's too sexy for us anymore.
He's too sexy for us, man.
Man, I thought I was bringing sexy back too, guys. Well, Chris, thanks for taking a little time for us. And again, for everybody out there, you can't do enough to support what Chris's initiative is. So go to waterboys.org, support them, make sure we can help other people besides ourselves. So, and of course the podcast, they can find it wherever you find podcasts. And how often are you guys taping those shows?
So we've been doing a Monday morning, a Wednesday morning, a Friday morning. These are all releases. And then we do a Friday gambling show too. So we've been rolling. It's a lot. We try to keep things very football during the season, but have fun too. BS. I almost said a bad word on your stream.
It's okay.
We like to BS a lot and talk about it all. We got to have you on to rank something or do a mailbag one day, Dave. Something off the wall, bro. So I'd love to have you.
Okay. I can get up and, do something crazy here.
You always got some crazy, up your sleeve, man. You're crazy.
So, all right, Chris, best of luck, for you and hope your family and you guys are doing, and we get out of this soon and kind of get to the normal and we can hug again and say hi and have a couple of Millers together. So,
oh, dude, I'm in there, and I got a big hug for you, man. I'm going back to hugging once we get this thing squared away. I don't care what anybody says. Handshakes, hugs, I'll be there. You and
absolutely.
Me, man. Get a
all
beer.
Right.
Okay.
Chris, we'll talk soon. Thanks again for your support, and you guys can't do enough for the Water Boys. So thank you, my bud. I love you.
Thanks, man. Love you.
All right, take care.
Okay.
That was Chris Long, 2-time Super Bowl champion, joining me here at Radio Row in Tampa. It's awesome to have a guy like that you can call a friend and, just talk a little football, talk a little life, and, of course, what it's all about, giving back. And that's what we're doing here at Radio Row. I want to thank all of our sponsors, of course, the Disability Channel. I wouldn't be here without Jay and those folks. And again, they've got great programs that are going on right now. Anna Marie Blivens has it, Onward and Upward. So go to the Disability Channel and you can find those links there. And people who have special needs can find ways to work and do stuff online. And that's kind of what the Disability Channel is all about. And of course, Quinnipiac folks back home for Ability Media. We're just starting out to try to change the world. So if you want more information, go to abilitymedia.com. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and all those places, as these young students are really trying to get out there and make a mark with Dean Roush and Barry Sachs and all the people there. And hey, for us old folks too, we got Ali Plus TV. Ali Plus is a new channel that I'm going to be working with, hosting a show called Boomer Connection for people over 55. Go to aliplus.com for more information like that. So this is Dave Stevens. I'll be here in a little while with JB Smooth. Yes, comedian, actor, voicer, pitchman, everything, man. He's a crazy dude. We'll talk about Curb Your Enthusiasm. We'll talk about his love for sports, and we'll talk about how crazy he makes me do things normally at the media day. So this is Dave Stevens. I'm going to say bye from Radio Row. We'll check you guys out later today. Drop us a line, and don't forget to follow Dave Stevens on all of your social media platforms. Take care, everybody.